Is it permissible to have sex with such an individual that is in your possession besides a wife? The best thing that could be done was to marry that slave, and once you marry them, they are free and they are part of your society and your culture. But what about those people who have slaves in their house? Can it be allowed or not? So the only thing that Allah allowed was that yes, it is permissible.
How you guys doing? This is Sahar TV, and today we'll see an Islamic preacher trying to explain why it's perfectly acceptable in the Quran to take women as slaves and, of course, have intercourse with them. Let's see his justification for this one.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. Welcome to Dawah Hard Talk series with another episode of another tough question that we get asked by the non-Muslims all the time. Today our question is that why does Islam advocate or allow female slaves, and on top of that having sex with those female slaves? As you know that there's a verse in the Quran that is repeated many times, whatever your right hand possess, أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُهُمْ أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُهُمْ, which means whatever your right hand possess. Whatever your right hand possess refers to female slaves or concubines in the house, and then also the Quran or Allah is allowing to have sex with them.
I want to see him trying to get out of this. I want to see him trying to get out of this hole. I want to see trying to get out of this. I want to see him trying to get out of this hole.
That's gross. That's disgusting. This is what we get told. And how can you allow that? How is that possible and permissible? How can God, allow such a thing? It's disgusting. Well, first of all, we have to understand something in the background, that Quran is not advocating to enslave people, number one. Second, Quran is not saying that you have to have this. Quran only came as an injunction to the society and the people. As you know, the Quran was revealed over 23 years of time, bits and pieces. The verses of the Quran from different chapters, they were revealed to Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, at various different instances. So Quran was not revealed all in one shot, in one time.
No, it's not. How come nobody witnessed Muhammad getting the revelation? How come Muhammad was always alone? How come nobody can tell me a single prophecy that Muhammad, the alleged prophet, has made? Because the Quran is man-made.
Like a book. Rather, it was a gradual revelation based on a compilation of various different revelations that came down to Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him. That's point number one. Point number two, that it needs to be understood that the Arab society predominantly was a slave-oriented society. They had slaves who they had for working for them. The Arab masters that would use these slaves to get their work done, farm work done, trade, business things done, hardcore labor kind of things done. And many of them had these female slaves and their male slaves. So if an Arab master, Arab person, master owner had female slaves, it was in their possession. They didn't marry them, but they had these slaves in their house. So the Quran is saying that yes, is acknowledging that since you have these slaves in your house, it is permissible to have sex with them, intercourse with them.
What? How is this acceptable by anyone? How is this a legitimate explanation? I was waiting patiently to hear a good explanation why it's permissible to take women as slaves and to have sex with them. Yet I received this? What?
And it's not really advocating it, because Quran gradually eradicated slavery. It did not abruptly end slavery. It did not say that from today slavery is forbidden, so tomorrow free all the people. Rather, the Quran gave rules and regulations, injunctions to the Muslims, to the people, that what they were already practicing before Islam, before the advent of Islam, before the coming of Islam and the revelation of Quran, the slave culture and slave mentality amongst the Meccans and the Arabians over there was very, very high. So the Quran only came to acknowledge that you have this and this is permissible, but at the same time, the Quran also advocated that you need to free the slave as a penalty for various sins, or as a good deed, you can free the slave. One of the best good deed that was advocated in that time was free a slave. So Islam abolished slavery by encouraging people to release and free the people. In fact, the rich people, the rich Muslims, they were encouraged and advocated to buy a slave and free them. So this way you can eradicate slavery gradually. Why didn't Islam abolish slavery abruptly? Because then it would create chaos, anarchy within the society, the social fabric of society, the the dimensions of society were such that they were heavily relying and dependent on slaves for work. So therefore, it had to be done gradually. People had to be weaned off gradually so that there is not an abrupt reaction. Now, coming to the issue of having sex with a female, because Allah is saying here, acknowledging that because this is your slave, your possession, you possess them. Although it's not saying in any way that this is a good thing, but it's saying that you are allowed, permissible to have intercourse and sex with that person because they are in your possession.
That is such a ridiculous argument. So if you possess a goat, you're allowed to have intercourse with the goat or with the camel or with the cow. You possess them. Are you allowed to?
Have purchased them, because the question that came up was, is it permissible to have sex with such an individual that is in your possession? Besides a wife. And of course, the best thing that could be done was to marry that slave. And once you marry them, they are free and they're part of your society and your culture. But what about those people who have slaves in their house? Can it be allowed or not? So the only thing that Allah allowed was that, yes, it is permissible. Had it not been permissible, then a lot of people will be committing rape or fornication, adultery. In order to save the society from all that menace and chaos of adultery and fornication and rape, this injunction was given only to those people who possessed. But on the contrary, they were encouraged to release them, to free them, and not keep them in captivity. So we have to look at the whole context. What non-Muslims do is they pick things out of context, they pick this verse out of context and bombard on us saying that, oh, you are so disgusting and gross,
It is pretty disgusting.
are allowing such a thing. And let's look at it today in 2021.
Hold on. Before you continue, you're telling me that a slave that you purchased against her will, she didn't want to be a slave, in order for you to have intercourse with her, you can marry her? Again, against their will, because the whole situation is against the will of the slave that is there. So you marry her against her will, and then you can have sex with her against her will. Even if you are married to her, it's still rape. It's against her will.
There are no female slaves around the whole world. There's no Muslim that enslaves a woman. So technically, this verse is no longer applicable today in today's society. This verse was revealed 1400 years ago when the society was predominantly in a slave culture. Today, you cannot enslave any woman or any man.
I can guarantee you that ISIS is probably enslaving women. I can guarantee you that Al-Qaeda is enslaving women. That is such a lie. These people want to go back to Muhammad's time. They want to impose Sharia just like back in Muhammad's time. Why are these people even allowed to talk on YouTube? What is this?
Because Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, came and he forbade that. He told people you cannot enslave a free person. So therefore, today, no longer Muslims can enslave a free person or a free woman and then have sex with them just because the verse is saying that. So this is the biggest misconception people have, and we need to clarify that by telling them that Islam was revealed for the current situation that people were facing in that time, 1400 years ago.
Oh, I see. It doesn't exist in modern times. So why did ISIS take women as slaves between the years 2014 and 2019? Specifically Yazidi girls and Christian girls. I thought it doesn't exist anymore. They had mass abduction of women, forced conversions, followed by sexual slavery, which is often justified by ISIS because these are prisoners of war. They had sex markets where women and girls are sold. They raped and justified it as religious. ISIS published pamphlets and fatwas claiming it was permissible to rape non-Muslims captives, citing Quranic verses like 424 and 23:6. Listen, you can sit here all day and claim your claims. At the end of the day, these terrorist organizations that try to bring back Sharia, just like it was back in Muhammad's time, these organizations try to follow it to the letter. That's what they do. So don't sit here and tell me Islam doesn't allow it anymore. It's still happening as we speak. Taking women as slaves is wrong. Muslims should acknowledge it. Having sex with them is also wrong. It's unbelievable. What are we watching on YouTube recently? Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you'd like to support me financially, you can do that using Buy Me Coffee or Patreon down in the links in the description. You can also join our Discord in the link below, and you can become a YouTube member and enjoy specific YouTube perks. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye.